What is happening? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I just want to speak about the process of your journey and what happens after the dieting phase, what happens during the gaining phase, because I have a lot of clients who are moving out of a fat loss phase that they've successfully complete and they're moving into more of a performance phase / adding tissue, gaining phase, whatever you want to call it. And I'll break that down, what that looks like. But obviously with a journey is a process, and a process usually goes through different phases. It's not just fat loss and it's not just gaining. Sometimes it's drop a little bit of body fat, get lean, gain some tissue, want to get lean again. And it's constantly like that over a series of years and years and years, alongside whipping in some cardio, challenges, marathons, whatever it is on top of that as well. But from a standalone physique development perspective, we've got fat loss phases, maintenance phases, and gaining phases ultimately. So, or calorie surplus, calorie deficit, maintenance calories. So a lot of the time, I've had a lot of people, like majority of people that I've ever coached and continue to coach, people do a fat loss phase first. And the reason for that is because A, they're carrying too much body fat, simple as that. B, they're looking to gain confidence first, which usually comes from getting leaner. Because when you get leaner, yes, you're going to lose body fat, you're going to showcase the tissue that you've already got. Or when you start to add in your resistance training and a good structure, you're obviously going to develop tissue in that phase as well. Not as much as you might do in a gaining phase, but you're still going to be able to get really good results in that phase. A lot of people get to the point where they've lost the body fat that they want, and obviously they're transforming then into a performance phase. So phase one, strip as much body fat as possible, get confident. And then we can build the muscle on top of that. So most lads' goals is to get leaner, but be bigger at the same time. That's gonna come through them phases. So when you're dropping body fat, you can focus on the metrics week by week. You've got a tangible goal of, I'm going to lose 0.5%, 1%, 1 pound, 1 kilo, whatever the rate of loss is that you're after. And you can physically see that coming down on a week-to-week basis. Same with your measurements, same with your pictures, same with how your clothes fit in, same with everything that's going on. You can track that data. It's a little bit easier to track that sort of data. What I found with a lot of people, me included, clients, I speak about this all the time, is when you're going into a gaining phase, it's a little bit different, and you've got to flip the switch in terms of what you deem as success. So when you're going into a gaining phases, your pictures are probably going to get worse in the short term. Your weight's going to go up, which is a little bit of a psychological head fuck. And you're not going to feel as confident because obviously you've went from being in a really lean position, you know, best you've ever looked, and all of a sudden you're sort of pulling out of that slowly. And it's the most delayed gratification that you're going to have when it comes to gaining tissue, because as I say, your pictures are not going to change week over week. You're not going to notice any changes, if any, like minimal changes week on week, month on month with your gaining. But you've got to focus on the inputs, and you've got to change the focus on that. So instead of focusing on the weight on the scales, or you know how pictures are looking, you've got to focus on the metrics that are going to drive that change, i.e. performance in the gym. Is food in the right position for fueling them sessions? Is recovery in the right position? Are you getting stronger in the gym? All these different factors. So them inputs of you fueling sufficiently, which is going to lead to gaining muscle and gaining body fat over time, which is what we want, because we need energy to create new tissue, alongside your training performance and getting stronger in the gym. If you do them three things and you focus on recovery a little bit more and optimize that, you're gonna see tissue growth, you're gonna see muscle mass growth, you're gonna see getting bigger, but it doesn't really show in them details of pictures and weights on the scales. So you've got to change your focus into performance. The goal is fuel your body sufficiently, put it into your training performance, make sure you're growing and you're adding tissue over time or adding weight over time. And that's it. So one of the things that I do for my clientele is we focus on metrics in the gym. So what do we want to achieve? Is it going to be 100 key bench press, 150 key deadlift? Are we going to get, even on a weekly basis, you know, I want to do 30 kg on dumbbells next week, and then a week after I want to try and get 12 reps out, and constantly setting them little milestones week on week is massively going to help with your fulfillment and also understanding the process a little bit better. Because as I said, especially if you've already done a fat loss phase and you're so focused on weight coming down, pictures changing week on week, feeling better, confidence, etc., that's got to change, and for a greater good. And again, thinking years, months and years as opposed to days and weeks. I always say that saying is because a lot of people are getting leaner to grow tissue, and then at some point they'll want to diet again to get even more confidence. But when they diet again, a year down the line, 6 months down the line, whatever it is, A, they're going to have more tissue. B, they're going to have less body fat than when originally starting, which means the diet's going to be shorter, so it takes less time to get to that position of leanness. They're going to look better. And number 4 is they're going to probably have to diet on more food because their body weight's more, their muscle mass is higher, and you can naturally get away with having more food on a diet. So all of them come into the second part of the dieting, which is made easier, and then so on and so forth. So you play that long game of like where you're at right now, where do you want to be in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, dieting for next summer, and zoom out a little bit as opposed to just focusing on the here and now. So I have it all the time. I've had it with myself. I have it with clients currently. In the past, I have people messing me on social media. You've got to commit to that process and you've got to trust the process because, as I said, and to reiterate the point, is that you're not going to see progress in a gaining phase week on week in terms of how you look. If anything, you're probably going to feel like you look worse. You're probably going to feel like you're a little bit more fluffier. You feel like you've lost your tissue and all this sort of stuff, which is not the case. Trust the process. Diet, get to a certain point, then grow, and then diet again down the line, which will make it easier and showcase the gains that you've already made.